What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is gonna be another update video. That's all I've been doing lately is update videos. So quick update on the E55. Still haven't found anything concrete. Have a few leads on some transmissions, but everybody seems to think that they're made out of gold or platinum, or I don't know, because they're asking like stupid ass prices for ones with 180, 100, and 200,000 miles. Some guy wants like 1,500 bucks. I was like, what the fuck? So that ain't gonna happen, but I may have found a lead on a couple of them, so we'll see what happens. I think they have lower miles. Like I said, there is always a scenario where when that's done, I pull the transmission out of this and then we just rebuild it, because I found a rebuild kit. It's gonna cost me like 400 bucks, has beefier clutches and all that, so that is also a possibility that can happen. But this video is not about really what's happening right now with the car. As I told you guys, nothing has really happened. This is more of, I promise you guys I'll show you the video, or I'll make a video for you guys talking about what I discovered about this car's previous history when it blew up. So a little background. I think it's been like 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. Car left me stranded on the side of the road. Transmission started slipping when shift past third. All this crap and whatnot. So make a long story short, transmission's dead, needs a new one. That's why I just gave this little update. So I called, or a while ago when it first did this to me, when I ended up doing a conductor plate, if you guys remember when I first got the car, it had those weird looking walled wheels on it. They almost look like AMG monoblocks from the 90s, which they look great on the 90s S-Class or the W140 S-Class, or like an older, 210 or 124 E-Class, but not on this. So if you guys, obviously I have these Nietzsche wheels on it now, and I ended up selling those wheels to this guy from California. Funny enough, I had them listed on OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace, and he hit me up. Hey, I have a 140 Mercedes S600 V12, badass looking car. Car only had like 40,000 miles on it, because the guy came with the car here from LA. He drove out here to pick him up, which I guess is only a 4-hour drive, but car looked beautiful. He showed it to me and I was like, wow. So he bought that car. I mean, he bought the wheels, and he's already had the wheels on, and he sent me a couple pictures. Car looks amazing with those wheels on it. So definitely fits a lot better than this one. So he actually ended up finding the previous owner to this car, and he showed it to me on Instagram. And I DM'd the guy. This is all August of 2021. So I DM'd the guy, hey man, I have your old E55. And he responds like, hey, I missed the car. I love those wheels. And he was like, you don't happen to still have them, do you? I buy them back from you. They're worth a lot. And I was like, of course they're worth a lot. Right after I sell them for basically nothing to this guy. But I was like, no, I sold them, blah, 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 whatever. So we talked, and one thing leads to another, and he ends up telling me that this car got a lot of work done from a specific Mercedes shop in LA. I'm not gonna throw out any names for shops, or I'm not even gonna name the previous owner, because I don't want anything. They didn't do anything wrong. I just don't want people going out there, just unnecessary issues or drama, whatever, because it's just not my place. So from what he told me, this shop had worked on the car, and the tune came from them, or the tune came from Race IQ, but they were the ones that did all the work to it. So I was like, cool. Didn't think anything of it. Drove the car until about, like I said, 3 or 4 weeks ago when it left me stranded. I was like, you know what? Let me call this shop. I just want to call them, and so maybe I can find some stuff out on the car. I can find out what's been done to it, whether it has a trans tune. Maybe that was the issue, because by then I hadn't dropped the pan yet. So I called the shop in LA, and this was like at freaking 4:40 in the afternoon, so they were just about to close. And the guy answers. I'm like, hey man, I just have a quick question. I own an E55. The previous owner had brought it to you guys for a lot of work or something, and he was like, what's the previous owner's name? I don't know his name. I just gave him his Instagram handle. I was like, he owns this kind of car now. And he was like, is that E55 silver with walled wheels and some carbon fiber? I was like, well, it has all those things aside from the walled wheels, because I sold them. But I was like, yeah, that's the car. And he goes, was it the vandalized one with the paint issue? I was like, yep, that's it. First thing that comes out of his mouth is, good luck. So that was fantastic when he said that. I was like, okay. He goes, this car has been through hell, more hell, and just about anything horrible that you can think about a car, this car has been through it. So he was like, the last owner only had it for about 6 or 7 months before, unfortunately, got vandalized. But his recommendation was that this car needed a full overhaul for powertrain and transmission. So it's a whole issue of right before the previous owner bought it, and this is now I know why the transmission blew up. The transmission had gone on this car, and they put some junkyard transmission for like 300 bucks. So the transmission in this car has been garbage the whole time. So it was never a good transmission, and it was just some garbage transmission that was put on it. That when I told the guy I've put like 5,000 or 6,000 miles on it, he was shocked. He was like, I didn't think that car would make it 20 miles out of my shop with that transmission. And by the way, this shop is not the one that did, you know, the transmission work and all that stuff to this car. He just told me what he found when he tried fixing this car. So he's not the one that swapped the garbage transmission or anything else. He just did he did some performance stuff to it and some other stuff. So this is not his fault. This goes back to the previous 2 or 3 owners that did some shady, sketchy crap with this car. So, by the way, this is a 7-owner car. I think I'm the 8th owner of this car. So it's been through, like I said, a lot. Now, he told me, he goes, I would highly recommend you get rid of this car. He goes, this car, the body's straight on it. He goes, it's a good car aside from the paint. And I told him I had to repaint it. He was like, oh, that's cool. He goes, the body's fantastic. It's a straight body, frame straight, never been in an accident. But he goes, the powertrain's crap. And I was like, well, the transmission blew it. He goes, no, the powertrain, the engine and the transmission are crap. Get rid of it. I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, well, you obviously know about the transmission because it blew up on you. I was like, yeah. And he goes, I was like, well, do you think maybe it could be another bad conductor plate or something? Because I was like, that conductor plate was brand new from Mercedes. And I talked to some other shop and he was like, did you program it? And I was like, as far as I know, you don't have to program the conductor plate. It's not this transmission. It's not the 722.9 where only Mercedes can replace the valve body because the conductor plate, valve body are one piece and it has to be VIN coded. This doesn't have that. But regardless of all of that crap, he was like, well, no, you probably, not the previous owner shop, the shop that I tried getting information from. He goes, well, you probably didn't do it right. You probably didn't code it. That's why it's not running. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I drove the car for 6,000 miles. How did it just magically decide to blow up now because I didn't VIN code it 6,000 miles ago? So regardless of saying me and him didn't see eye to eye. So he was no help at all. But going back to the previous owner's mechanic, he told me that he was like, my recommendation is if you drop the pan right now on the transmission, you're going to find a bunch of crap in it. And behold, he was right. I found a shit ton of crap in the transmission pan. Because as he said, this was a garbage junkyard transmission that somebody threw in this car and just, you know, just to send it down the road and unfortunately sell it to the previous owner without him knowing. So that's not the least of this car's problems, as I have discovered from him. As you guys may recall in the previous video, I said after we swapped the trans, I'm gonna try to, fantastic, thank you, Mr. Motorcycle Man. I'm gonna try to rebuild the motor. And there's a very specific reason of why. If you guys want to come over here, and hopefully it's going on right now because then I can show you. Damn. Oh, of course, that's perfectly fine. Oh no, you can put it in there. You guys see that? That's yeah. Your engine oil is not supposed to look milky or caramel color or white chocolate because that means you're mixing coolant and water or coolant and oil, excuse me. So yes, this engine has a blown head gasket without, I haven't even realized it. I didn't know that it had a blown head gasket because the car, one, doesn't smoke. There's no white smoke coming out of the exhaust. Two, the coolant level on the car has dropped since August when I did the coolant flush on it. But it hasn't dropped to where it has said anything on the instrument cluster, where I have noticed anything in the tank going low. It's barely dropped anything. but it has dropped. And kind of what pointed me in the direction of a head gasket issue before the previous mechanic told me all this is the number 6 spark plug. You guys know this car has 2 spark plugs per cylinder. One of the number 6 spark plugs was white, and I'm talking white. Like it looked like it had been burning water. So that was very concerning, and I was like, wonder what that is. I mean, it's only one on, because as I said, there's 2 spark plugs per cylinder. Only one of the spark plugs on cylinder 6 was white. The other one was fine. So I was like, can't be a head gasket, because then both spark plugs would be fouled, but it was only one. Well, lo and behold, the mechanic confirmed it very clearly to me. He goes, you pull that cap off and there's always milky residue on it. And I know somebody, when I originally bought the car, when I did my first video on it, somebody mentioned that, oh, don't worry about that. They tend to have condensation on the cap when they sit. Of course, I sat here 4 weeks and there's no condensation on the cap. So clearly there's something deep in the engine. So yeah. Oh, and also this is not the original motor for the car. Let me show you guys something else. I always thought this, but I didn't want to be right. You guys see those yellow markings right there and on the filter housing? As far as I know, as far as the previous mechanic told me, again, is that this is another junkyard motor that was put in this car. Now, why would they put a motor in this car? Well, they blew up the original one. And from what he told me, and again, I'm not going to say his name or what shop it is or anything, but you know, he was a really big help to me because he basically told me everything I needed to know about this car. He gave me the whole background. Now I know why this thing is beat to shit in a turd. So he said that the first motor, the original motor on this car, was blown up because the car was the way he said it was a stage 3 modified car. He said it was making about north of 600 wheel horsepower. So it's not making that right now because it doesn't have those kind of mods, but he said it was a really, you know, highly modified car, bigger throttle body, injectors, all that crap. So as we can see, they still have the injectors, but I guess they kept their throttle body and some other stuff. And it had a fixed pulley. The car right now does not have a fixed pulley. It has a 77 millimeter non-fixed pulley. So I guess they took some of the mods off this engine. But regardless, the transmission blew up, and if I don't address that head gasket, the engine might blow up soon. Now, as I said, in the past 5,000-6,000 miles, it hasn't gotten worse, and I drive the car hard. You guys know I drive it pretty hard. I drag raced it, I did all that crap with it. But it hasn't really gotten worse. I haven't noticed any leaks, like particularly, but you never know. So that's why I was suggesting last video, we tear this motor apart and even go crazier with a bigger blower and all that. So I don't know if that's going to happen yet. This is still my daily driver. Well, not right now because it's broken, but this is my car. Like, this is the car I have to use to get to work and whatnot when I get it back and running, because I can't keep using the arc flash, not mine. But the thing is, I don't know if I really want to go that hard anymore with this car after what I learned. So as I said in the previous video, I love the car. It's a fantastic car, and I'm kind of stuck with, I'm married to the car at this point, because being a salvaged out on 185,000 miles, there's no value in it. You know, I'm never gonna get the money I put into it back unless I wait like 50 years and hopefully the car goes up in value like crazy. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing with it. As of right now, I'm putting a transmission in and I'm gonna start driving it again. But the head gasket issue might just have to be resolved after I pick up another car, which hopefully maybe this summer or fall, I'm gonna try to pick up a daily driver, and then we can put this in the garage and tear it apart and, you know, port the heads, bigger blower, or maybe, like I said, VRP Whipple blower or something like that. We'll see. But as of right now, I just want to fix the transmission and start driving the car again. Now, this also does make a lot of sense of why, when I originally drag raced my friend in the GT Mustang, the stock GT Mustang, the car lost, even though it was making, you know, supposedly this kind of power and with mods. He told me that the car is down on power because of the head gasket leak, because even though it's so small, it'll still leak into the cylinder and mess with the combustion, you know, of the motor. And that's why at idle sometimes that's why I changed the spark plugs, because I thought it has a misfire, and it does have a misfire, but I don't think it's vacuum related. Now that we know, it has a very small misfire idle, to where now you know, it proves to me that it is, you know, water in the head, basically water in the combustion chamber, because it is kind of messing with the idle. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind this car, and it is a shit story. I wish the car had been taken care of better, but you can only come back from it, right? I mean, this is the lowest the car will be, hopefully it's the lowest, so we can bring it back. There's stuff in the works. I'm planning on, as I said, first and foremost fixing the trans, then we're gonna do motor, we're gonna fix the motor, and then after that, hopefully I want to wrap it. Yeah, so after I fix all that crap, I want to wrap the car, maybe end up going with, I don't know, I'm a big fan of China Blue. It's a classic Mercedes color, big fan of it. Maybe something else, maybe like a sort of metallic green, maybe like a Porsche metallic green, like Irish green or something like that. Maybe something, we'll see. It hasn't been decided yet, but I'm kind of between the blue, China Blue, maybe some other Porsche darker blue, or actually I'm between a lot of cars. So China Blue is probably the biggest blue I want. The Irish green or oak green metallic from Porsche, those are cool darker greens. The Porsche Viola metallic, that really dark purple that only really you can tell it's purple is in the sunlight, because otherwise it looks black. It'd be a cool color to have. Or there's a Mercedes color, basically Mercedes's version of Nardo gray from Audi. It's called Arabian gray metallic. It's a badass color. Maybe that, but that's kind of too similar to the silver that we already have. So maybe not Arabian gray, maybe, like I said, blue, green, purple. We'll see. But as of right now, it's still a statue. It's still sitting here. So hopefully I can get the trans sometime this week, maybe sooner. I mean, who knows? Hopefully I can get a trans soon, or at least get the car going. But the other issue is, if this car wasn't in the garage, if the BMW had been fixed by now, I would have had this already torn apart in the garage. The transmission probably would have been out of it by now, but I don't really want to do it in the driveway because HOA gets kind of pissed off if you start doing all that kind of crap. So yeah, I'm waiting for this car to be done, hopefully soon as well. We'll put this in the garage, and yeah, that's kind of, you know, the story behind the salvage title E55. So sad story. Car's been through a lot, but hopefully soon she'll be back and better than ever. So thank you guys all so much for watching the video. Please stick around. I know that I'm very sporadic with videos as of right now, but honestly, there's just no content. There's only so much I can stand here and tell you about this car. I'm not gonna make stupid updates every week talking about, oh, I still haven't found a trans, which I guess is kind of what that is, but you guys get it. I'm gonna try to get this done as soon as possible. Trust me, I miss driving this car. I want to drive the car again, and hopefully soon we'll be back on the road and tearing up the streets, you know, being a menace to society with a loud 55. So thank you guys all so much. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.